A week or two ago marked the season finale of the newly revived Whose Line Is It Anyway? And considering it's one of my all-time favorite shows, I thought it would be a good idea for me to review it. So hey everybody, Knick-Knack here on my second channel, Knick-Knack Anime, here to bring you guys a review for Season 9 of the newly revived Whose Line Is It Anyway? Now before I begin, let me explain what the show is about for those who have never heard of it. Whose Line Is It Anyway is an improvisational comedy show that was based off the original UK version with the same name. The show was hosted by Drew Carey and starred comedians Wayne Brady, Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, and an interchangeable fourth seat comedian which I won't name because there were too many. Now as I mentioned again, this show was an improv comedy show, and for those who don't know what that is, then Google it so I won't have to ramble anymore. Now that I'm done summarizing it, let's talk about the revival right now. Now for this review, I'm going to break it down into three parts: the good, the meh, and the bad, before giving an overall score for the whole season. Quick shout out to Whitey the reviewer, who originally made this format, or I got this format inspired by. But anyway, let's start with the good. So let's start with the good things as I mentioned again. The first and biggest positive is that they brought back all three of the main performers, Wayne, Colin, and Ryan. This was a smart thing to do because you can't have Whose Line without all three guys. I mean, in terms of comedic shows like this, replacing the original cast for a new one is a bad move to make. Just look at what they did with all that. They've unfortunately replaced the interchangeable fourth spot with new people such as Keegan-Michael and wild and out veteran Naima Funk, but that's not bad at all. Now not only did they bring back the original players, but games from the past were brought back as well as new ones were brought in, which is the second positive. If you're a fan of the last few seasons, then you've noticed games like props, weird newscasters, and scenes from a hat were brought back. In addition, new games such as Sideways Scene and What's in the Bag have made me smile. The last good aspect of the new revival is that the humor is still there. Although it's impossible for me to laugh at humorous things nowadays than before, I can tell good humor when I see it. And this show, of course, is good humor. So now that the good's out of the way, let's get on to the meh. Now on to meh parts. For this category, there were only two. The first meh is the new host. For the new season, they've put Aisha Tyler as the host. In other words, the girlwood person from the Ubisoft E3 conferences. Now before I get into talking more about her and Whose Line, let me just ramble off on something E3 related really quick. Now I know some of you hate her, and whenever you see her, you say, she doesn't know how to host, she fucked up Ubisoft's press conference, she's funny and annoying, get off the stage and blow me, bitch. For those who are like that, especially some people I know on Twitter, go back to filleting this man right here. Yeah, we all know you want to swallow this guy's semen, because that's the way it's looking like whenever I saw comments on Aisha's E3 hosting. But going back on topic, her as a host was kinda meh. And here's why. Now while I personally think she does have the charisma, fuck the haters, and that she did look pretty fucking hot whenever she was hosting, the meh part about it is she doesn't have any of the skills Drew Carey had. In terms of her comedic background, besides acting, the type of comedy she's best known for is stand-up. In my opinion, this is meh because near the end, she doesn't play any of the games like Drew did. And unlike the past seasons, in which the Who's Line winner for the week was actually rewarded with taking a break, the winner or winners for this new season unfortunately had to do more improv. And because of that, we mainly got to see like everybody be a winner for some like lazy ass shit. These things aren't extremely bad, however, as this is part of the meh category, but nonetheless, I would have really wished for the next seasons that she would play one of the games at the end. Heck, props isn't too hard to play. She should just like try her look at that. And if she can't do props, then there are plenty of other good Who's Line games she could play that I think are pretty easy to try out. Other than that, I personally think her hosting is good. And as the replacement for Drew, she delivers. And for those people who are like, oh, I miss Drew, ain't nothing without Drew. Come on, at least we got the 3 original people. That's something, and not everything could be perfect. The second and last meh would be how the show flowed. What I mean by that is that I was annoyed with how each game went before going to commercial. First, it starts off with 2 games taking up a few minutes each before going to commercial. Then another game going on for a few minutes before going to commercial. Then another before going to commercial. And it went like that for 3 times for the episode. Personally, I'd rather that they have a big chunk with a big commercial break after. I wouldn't mind because it would put more depth into the games. Still, I just tolerated it. And in terms of like how the games went, they were still enjoyable even with the pacing. Which is why this part was on the meh area. Now that I'm done with the meh part, let's move on to bad right now. Now on to the bad of the new season. This season could have really delivered, and I would have given it a really high score at the end if it weren't for these 2 things messing up. The first one was the use of celebrities. What I mean by this is that each episode had to have guest celebrities to help them with a game or 2, whether it would be an actress from a CW show, an Olympic athlete, a retired woman athlete, or actors from non-CW shows. In my opinion, this totally fucked up the game for 2 reasons. The first is that they were overused, and whenever they appeared in a game, the game focused on the scene that relates to them. For instance, they had an actress from The Walking Dead. One of the game's scenes involved being in a zombie apocalypse. Another episode, they had Layla Ali. And the game or 2 had a scene relating to boxing. You pretty much get the point, and I was personally a little annoyed with it. The second reason on why it fucked up the show is that when you compare it to grabbing people from the audience, that unpredictability factor that makes improv very enjoyable becomes misplaced. So yeah, first reason. So now that I'm done rambling on the first bad, let me get on to the second one, which was the biggest miss of the 2 problems, and that was the removal of the hoedown. I bet I'm not the only big Who's Line fan to say this, but how could you remove one of the show's most important games? I mean, there's a reason why Drew Carey called it everybody's favorite game in the world. It's because it was that good. Now, although it seems I'm very pissed off at it, there's a chance my views on the hoedown removal are only temporary, and if what I've heard is true, then there will only be 1 bad of the show, and my overall score will increase by like near half a point to 1 full point. What I mean by that is that I've read some comments assuming that if the hoedown was to be brought back, then this revival would have never existed, because in terms of the game, both Colin and Ryan stated that they're very weak in the hoedown game, or the music games in general, and if it were to be revived, then there would have been no Colin and Ryan from what I assume. This is just speculation, however, so don't take it as a fact. But that's all I can say for bad parts. Let's go to the final verdict of Season 9. Overall, I think the newly revived Whose Line Is It Anyway delivered for fans of the original and is worth watching. Despite a few flaws that made it a decent revival rather than the near perfect one, the show is still funny as ever, and I'll be looking forward to next year's season. For those that have missed it, you can watch the new episodes on CW's website, and each of them will definitely put a smile on your face. I give Whose Line Is It Anyway Season 9 a 7.5 out of 10, which is a good score for those who might want to complain. So that was my review. Let me know in the comments what you've thought of the revival. I love hearing what others have to say. Also, if you're a fan of these shows in general, improv shows, then I truly recommend watching Nick Cannon's Wild and Out. You can see it on MTV2 and this website. For fans of that show, look forward to a review on this revival. I just hope I can review it because I'm extremely bad at keeping promises like these. Anyway, that's enough babbling for me, so let's end it. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Take it easy, and until next video,